And welcome back to the interactive interview here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. Joining us for the second time and the first time in over 8 years is the one and only Sycho Sid, Vicious Sid. It's great to have you on the show again.
Thanks, guys, for having me. How you guys doing tonight?
Absolutely great. Great to have you. So basically, let's start out kind of where we left off last time, and I know it's probably old news now, but how's the leg doing?
Leg's doing really good, guys. Thank you very much. But I mean, right now it's probably the best it's ever been. So it's been it's good. I guess to be just simple, but thanks for asking.
I'm glad to hear that. And you know, you're active, you're doing a lot of stuff on the indie scene, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But first, the movie's out now. It's on DVD. It's called River of Darkness. You're in it with a series of other wrestlers. You got Kurt Angle, one of the star roles. Kevin Nash is one of your partners in crime, and we even got Glacier in there. So it's a pretty wrestling cast.
Well, you know, the guys that when you know what that is called, guys. It's called casting. You know, you get in an independent scene like that. And I'm not trying to put myself over, but an independent film, me and people like Kevin Nash and Kurt Angle, those are big names. And so that's gives you a little what's called star power or validity or something like that. Absolutely.
And, you know, I watched the movie, and, you know, it's an interesting movie, a different take on a kind of horror movie, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was pretty interesting out there. You know, what about the script appealed to you to make you jump at this one?
Well, I'll be honest with you guys, the guy called me, they just had asked me if I wanted to do it. Well, it wasn't a script. I'll be honest, I never read the script. I only think I had one line in it. I did read through it and see what the premises was, but it was basically, you know, regular, you know, again, just an independent film with low budget. But the thing is, what impressed me was how professional it was. You know, I've done some big scale movies down to, movies that we just done out of the back of a trailer, you know. Yeah. I've done a film before, guys, where we never left the property, and it looked like we were riding down highways. I mean gravel roads and stuff like that, and we never moved the vehicle more than 10 feet. So you can make believe a lot of things, but they had a good casting. They had a lot of good scenes, and they went, you know, like for instance, location. And if you're not into film, which, you know, most people watch and listen to you guys' show is not, they're into wrestling, but if you're into film, casting and location and things like that make a big difference in a film, and that's what these guys offered. You know, and you know, it's like doing a movie, guys. You put all these things together, and somewhat rolling the dice too. You know, it's like, okay, well, roll the dice. I hope it lands on 7. Well, these guys came pretty close for everything, you know, that you could do. Yeah, you know, I don't think anybody is looking at this as an Oscar film, and I'm not insulting by saying that, but it was a fun film. Well, the thing about this, guys, is there's only been one ever horror film that won any Oscars, and it was Best Picture, Best Actor, and Supporting Actress. You know who that was? What was that one? The Exorcist. Hannibal. Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs. Oh, wow. It was the only horror movie, I'm sure, that won Best Picture, Actor, and Actress, if I'm not mistaken. But it's the first horror movie ever to get Best Picture. Wow. They just don't happen. Now, what that little film did sort of bring to, you know, you have to be a cult horror person, you know, enthusiast to realize this, but in one of those scenes, me and Kevin Nash and the other guy that helped us was also another mummy or another zombie from the dead. There was a scene where we killed an old man that was in a boat. Yes, right. Well, that old man was, if you guys ever saw The Night of the Living Dead. Oh, yeah. Okay. Remember the first scene where the brother gets killed in the graveyard by the zombie, the first zombie? Uh-huh. Okay. That movie is called, and the casting, if you came down casting, he would be called the original #1 zombie of all the zombies, because then they name them off a little bit. Yeah. Well, that's his big claim to fame. Well, that was that same gentleman that we killed in that boat. So I've told people this before, like, you had to make a little bit of an analogy, and for me, I don't know about you guys, I'm a big-time horror person and a big-time comedy fan. I like, you know, both. And I like some, you know, of course, I like the big westerns, and I like anything that's good, but I love horror movies. And now, I know the Night of the Living Dead, and I know about the culture of it, how controversial it was at the time. There was a black guy leading, ended up slapping a white lady in the thing. Hope I don't get in trouble for saying that. But anyway, this gentleman was the guy, the original zombie. So if and that become one of the most cult classic horror films of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It shows all the time now, like the Turner Classic or something. So if you were a cult horror classic enthusiast, you'd have to say, I got to play baseball with Babe Ruth.
Right.
I mean, honestly. So that, I'm sure a lot of people that did that film that was on site aren't going to feel the same way I do. But that's what and that was probably the most, the thing I felt like the coolest and the most. I got to meet that guy. Or, in the film industry, I got to kill him. So I got to kill the original zombie. So.
Wow.
I think that was cool, too. And then again, that goes to casting. Those guys got that guy, the other guy that was our partner in that deal. I can't remember his name, but he was in Mothman Prophecies, which I know nothing about. Mm-hmm. I've heard of the show.
Right.
He was one of the people in that. But no, it was a really fun show, a movie to do.
It was, and it showed that you guys were having some fun with it. And, I wish that you would have maybe gotten some more speaking lines in it, but I kind of guess for the character you were playing, speaking a whole lot wouldn't have made a lot of sense.
Guys, if I would have spoke too much in that movie, I would have killed the movie. I mean, I think, no. They think that's the thing about and I have read a bunch of scripts, when you get down to the lines, guys, a lot of times the speaking is just, hey you. Yeah. What's going on over there? They're not always those big 2 paragraphs or 3-page, deals.
Right.
But no, I've done that movie and the movie I did with all those guys from WCW, Get Ready to Rumble. I think I said like 1 syllable, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe something. I mumbled something.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, unless you're in the main role of that. Matter of fact, and I'll give you an example. A film that we did, an independent film called Stranded. Right. You can find it. I can't think of the guy's name that produces. I know Ron McLaren of it, out of Gainesville, Georgia. Right. It was 30 minutes short, and the deal was I portrayed a character that's sort of like a Boo Riley character to Kill a Mockingbird. I never said a word, but I was the main character in the whole movie. Now, to me, that was challenging.
Right.
Of course, you guys aren't into film, but if you ever go into film and go to a film school or acting school, one of the movies that they always try to make everyone do is called 12 Angry Men. You remember that movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie, yes. That's a great movie.
That movie never got out of that room. Did you know that?
Wow. Yep. It was all about the 12 jurors making a decision, right?
And how they brought up, they made you feel the temperature of that rain, the heat, everything. It was like, man, you felt them guys smothering in there. Mm-hmm. Did you know I'm trying to get, that's why that movie got over like that?
Right.
Now, I'm not going to go into wrestling real quick, but in wrestling, as a tag team, there's an old system there, if you can, quarter off the ring and just keep that one guy in that corner without ever seeing anything, finally those people will feel that, and they'll feel suffocated too.
Right. Exactly.
It's an old wrestling tag team deal,
There you go. And, like I said, it was really an interesting movie to watch. It had a lot of fun. And, it like you said, I like horror movies as well. And I like comedies. And, sometimes they can cross the line and kind of be a little bit of both. Like and this movie kind of had a little bit of that with it. We kind of constantly are walking around the house lately saying, already dead. Nash got shot in the chest and looked down at his chest, looked up and said, already dead at Kurt Angle. And I thought that was a pretty funny line. So.
Well, no, that's the thing. I remember that part too. Yeah. But no, you're right. It does do that. But no, again, I had a great time doing that movie. Of course, it was fun to see Kevin, hang out a couple of days doing that stuff. The only downside of the whole movie was the makeup. I'm telling you, like, the first night, I had that shit on me until the next day. And I finally came up with a solution how to get it off. But I'm going to tell you something. I was wore the crap out from that deal. Wow. Being up all night filming those late night hours like that.
Yeah.
I was exhausted.
Wow. So this is kind of the direction you're heading in, because I remember at the end of our last interview a long time ago you had mentioned that you had written a screenplay.
Right.
So, I mean, is this kind of the direction you want to go in?
Man, guys, since I talked to y'all, I did, I think, 3 movies last year. I did a documentary. I've got it. I had it entered to a film festival. What it was, I was running behind time, like always, and I didn't get to do some special little effects in the documentary, like, and you probably won't know what this is called. Maybe you will. It's called fonts, and it's like if I showed a picture of you in there, I would say your name and age or something like that, or something.
Right.
To give a people like an identity. I didn't do those little things, and for a 15-minute short, you need to do those things to make it more personal.
Right.
I could have, because I still had a minute or so to go, I could add another interview, so I'm going to brush it up. I'm thinking about changing the title of it. I call it, the first one is called, I'm calling it right now, F is for Fun. And what it's about is a documentary on hometown wrestling in this area here where there is no cussing.
Wow.
And sort of, guys, for me, and this is what film will teach you, it's taught me this, and this is something I had a passion for once I learned about the wrestling business and started finding out about film and creating, scenes and movies and stuff like that. I forgot what I was saying there. Getting ready for this contest, I'm down to 247. My memory goes.
Right.
No, what was I saying there about?
You were talking about your F is for Fun.
The F is for Fun. Now, I've been told by my guy who has my editor and the guy who helps me write all these things. He said I used the wrong title because F is for Fun. For me, I'm trying to tell. I want someone like you to say, what do you think F is for Fun means, guys?
Yeah, maybe.
Come on, tell me.
Probably not what you're intending, but yeah.
Right. No, F is for Fun means that. F is, in this film, F is for fun. There is no fuck word in there.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The word fuck's not said in here, so that's what I'm saying. I got it, but nobody else got it.
Oh,
so this time, J is for jerk, for Sid. I was a jerk for naming that, so what I'm going to call it is promotion or something.
Yeah.
Well, that way, if film people will view it, well, maybe, hey, I want to see that. Yeah, I guess the title just didn't catch people, but I thought it would be something because
you know what? Most people when they think wrestling, they probably would think federation.
There you go. Well, that was something they said too, guys. But federation and promotion, and I just didn't use one of those. Those are strong names. I just wanted someone to say, "Hey, man, F is for fun." The thing is, when I did a lot of the interviews with the 8-year-old kids and stuff like that, and did interviews in back, and I showed matches where bad guys and heel, baby faces were. And, these little towns and showed interviews and I got lucky. Had Scott Hall in it. Had my kid play Lord Humongous.
Oh wow!
And had a lot of the local guys in this area. I used the firemen, the ET squad to put me on an ambulance and stuff like that. Just all kinds of things, guys. It's really I used some things that were used in the movie Sycho, where I rushed a lot of the scenes to make it mean more. Like for instance, when the girl got stabbed, they made it go a lot faster. And like in 30 seconds, instead of getting stabbed 10 times, she could get stabbed 20 times.
Wow.
By speeding up the thing. So when Scott Hall would come to the ring because he was so slow, I'd speed it up. Not kidding. But I've never told him that yet. But no, he came up and stayed with me for a while and helped me film that thing.
Wow.
And got him, and I got my kid, and got myself in for independent films. I got some star power right there.
There you go. And now you mentioned I would be kicked in the nards if I didn't ask this. You mentioned your son played Lord Humongous. I don't know how old your son is, but is that something that he's going to continue to do something in wrestling?
Guys, that's something I'd stand behind him for it if he wanted to. But this is why I got him into that deal, guys, is because I know it don't sound much. F for you guys, F is for stupid. It sounds stupid to you guys probably, but I had 10 months it took me to get 15 minutes of film.
Wow.
Okay, so I needed some people I could trust, and I knew I was going to get. I couldn't get Sky here for 10 months, so I got him for a couple months and gave him on some different shows. And this guy only used one show that I thought I really liked with him. No, I used a couple, but I got him inserted in and out of it.
Right.
And with Gunner, I was able to use him all over the place. And the thing is that I knew with him and being Scott, my friend, and I used another young gentleman named Poker Face that works around here. I'm telling you, that guy did an Academy Award-winning job just using his hands. We don't have to have new audio. If you ever see this, you guys, I think you'll really like it.
Very cool.
It's like the old school wrestling, but all these young faces, new people. But no, for him, and I got him in it to help me do that because, one, when I showed it at festivals in this part of the area, and I mean area from here would be anywhere far as far, Indiana,
right,
Evansville, all the way to the coast, and as far as, east, all the way to Carolinas, all the way, over this way, because Lord Humongous did this area.
Right.
So if there ever shows an area, one, then I got me, myself, Scott, and Lord Humongous, and that gives me star power. Now, I really did it for a little inside jingle to my friends to know that I did Lord Humongous as well.
Exactly, right.
And that's why I really did it. That, and then, to me, when I faced Lord Humongous, Sid Vicious against Lord Humongous, to me, that's you can't beat that. That's
pretty cool. That's like Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Hulk Hogan,
Yeah, dude, I think that's a little cooler because I did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, fuck you, man. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
You always got to put Hulk Hogan in here. But, hey, my kid didn't kill anybody.
Oh, wow. No, that was pretty cool, though. I mean, that you were able to throw that back because I got it right away. I mean, CWF back in the day and all that.
Right.
I remember all that stuff. So.
But no, answer your question. No, Gunner, he's not going to wrestle. He just went after doing that. He got lucky and got on a couple of shows, and I'm talking to a guy in Missouri who wants to do stuff. If it's something we can do together to make it look a little vacation, we do it. Mm-hmm. But it's been probably 6 months since we've done one.
How, if you don't mind me asking, how old is he?
He's just 17. 17,
okay. So he's still got a lot of deciding to do. So.
Right, no. Yeah. Guys, it's like, I'm gonna tell you something. He's totally dyslexic, and really was a good morale. Self-confidence thing for him. Oh, excellent. But the thing was, you asked, and I'm not saying this because he's my kid. You can call and ask anybody that knows him, that wouldn't give him a good rating because of who I am. Mm-hmm. The kid never blew up, never got nervous, never missed a finish, never missed a spot, and didn't know anything about the business. Wow. My kids had never been to wrestling. Wow. I'm not kidding. I think my oldest kid made wrestling once or twice. Gunner, maybe not until this here recently, the last couple of years. So that's what I'm saying. They don't know anything about wrestling. Wow. He just fell into that. He is a natural for it, especially in carrying a character like Lord Humongous. That's a tough thing to do, guys, because you can't talk, you can't show facial expressions. It's also an easy character to do as well, But he picked up on it really well. Does he have your size? He's bigger than me. He's bigger than you. Wow. Yeah, that's hard to imagine. Well, that's pretty cool. No, that's the thing is he got to do, and just because this deal here, and those clowns are really good guys. They put him on the show this past year, and put him on Friday night. I was in Evansville and had him on the show there, and then they put me on the show later that Saturday night. Yeah. The only thing was that their limo got lost going the first night, so he didn't get to work. Oh. But he did work in Evansville Saturday night with me. But he got to go to the show. And him and his buddy got to walk around, and that's a pretty cool thing for kids, And that's the Insane Clown Posse, you mean? He loves the Insane Clown Posse, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, now, you've been on the... He thinks he's the coolest guy. All the things we've done, guys, that's what he marched to being cool. Wow. Pretty cool. Now, you've been back on the wrestling scene for a little while now. I remember they made a big announcement about 3 or 4 years ago that you were getting back into it. And, there's always the rumors going around, and I have to ask you, is there any plans on doing anything nationally, like with TNA or WWE, as Nash has gone back as a Legend contract, or is it all just kind of up in the air at the moment? It's probably still, the business, if you're in the business, it's always up in the air. Exactly. I don't know. I heard about this. I don't know anything about what you're saying. I heard about something about Kevin and them doing a Legends thing. Yeah, yeah. They brought him back for the Rumble, and he got a Legends contract. So basically, he's free to do whatever he wants, but he gets
I guess he gets paid to be part of the WWE, I guess, and I guess they retain some rights to him. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Well, that's pretty cool, though. They see him again. So right now, no plans for you to end up in WWE or TNA then?
No, guys, I'll be honest with you. I turned 50 this past year. Of course, I waited for a long time to get into bodybuilding. That's what I'm doing right now. That and some films. I'm starting up a new little security company.
Oh.
And just don't see myself. I just don't see myself doing anything anymore.
Ah, well, that's a shame. Hopefully, we'll see Lord Humongous though. Once again, if your son decides to go that way.
If I could do the Lord Humongous gimmick, I might do it. I'm not kidding. I love that gimmick. They can make money. I always believe gimmicks are short-lived.
Right.
That would be something that would really be fun for me. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind doing something like that. You know, you could be Lord Humongous, you know.
Do you think that everybody would know who you were, though, at this point?
Well, I think that's what you'd hope.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I mean, you got a double draw there, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's something I think would go with that. You know, you hope, is that Sid, you know? And then you play off of that.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go. Well,
of course, it'd take a genius to figure that out.
Exactly. And is there any way we could...
Well, one thing that I wanted to ask you about, one thing I wanted to ask you about was, I've had this discussion with friends of mine who are wrestling fans. We talk about all the wrestlers from the past and everything. And one thing that I've always said about you that I thought made you such a huge success and made you stand out over a lot of people is that you were the first big guy that I remember seeing who had an athletic look, could do more athletic things, and you started doing moves like the powerbomb and the chokeslam. You were the first guy that I remember seeing ever do that. Did you think that you were a major contributor in redefining the big man in professional wrestling?
Oh, guys, no, I don't. I wish I could take that credit. Thing was, is what you're saying, like chokeslam and powerbomb, doesn't really make me look athletic. Now, what I did bring when I first came in, and I did a lot of things, and people stopped telling, and I'm glad I stopped doing it. But I used to go from the top rope all the way to the floor and to the mat and stuff like that. And then
I distinctly remember you used to use a guillotine leg drop as a finish.
Yeah, off the second rope is Lord Humongous.
There you go.
And then Sid Vicious. And then I also knew I was able to nip up. One of the 300-pound. I think I was the only 300-pound guy I ever seen nip up or ever saw nip up. But as far as I'd say defining what I consider in this business, two guys defined the way the big man moved was Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader.
There you go.
I mean, those guys are 400-pound guys, and they're doing shit Rey Mysterio's doing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that made the sports highlights when Bam Bam came into WWF at the time and could do a cartwheel. I mean, they were just amazed that a guy his size was that athletic.
Well, Vader used to do a 360 backflip off the top.
Oh, yeah.
And now, I don't know if Bam Bam did that, but he did a lot of, the headbutt off the top was his finish.
Yep.
But no, those were the two guys that really defined what a big guy could do.
And send my thoughts and prayers up to Bam Bam's old manager, Oliver Humperdinck, who's not doing too well right now. So.
Oh, is he not?
No, he's just entered hospice care.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, my prayers out to him too, man. I'll tell you, he's a really good guy.
Well, yeah, we send him off a card from on behalf of the Epicenter, but if you want to give him a call or something, that might be cool. So.
Okay, guys.
All right, man. Well, is there any way we can keep up with F is for Fun or the Federation or whatever you end up deciding to call? Is there any way we can keep up with your upcoming releases?
Yeah, check out Sycho Sid Promotions, or I'm hoping that this company here, like this, River Darkness, they went out and got a publishing company or a PR company, help them a little bit promote this. Mm-hmm. I guess that she's the one to set up the interview with you guys, and I hope they'll, these other companies follow suit and do the same.
Absolutely, and they've done a bang-up, very professional job in the promotion of this. I got to give them credit. They've been with me all along. They've been very impressive. I got to be honest. I've dealt with book companies, and there's some book companies that are a little bit kind of not so good, and these guys have been very, very, very professional.
And right there. That's what I can't. When I say that, I'm glad you said that too, because now it don't sound like just a only one ringing the bell. But that's what's so great about working with these guys is everything is professional. And I'm telling you, and it might sound like a corny somebody you see in years old Dick Cavett or something. but really the screenplay, the casting, location, things like that mean everything to a movie, you know. And that's something they've done a good job on, especially River of Darkness.
Very cool. And that movie is out now on DVD. I just watched it a few weeks ago, and it's really an interesting watch. If you like kind of the different kind of horror movies, sometimes maybe something that you would find a little humorous too, because it just sometimes when it gets overly graphic, it can be funny. That it really is something.
Evil Dead.
What's that again?
Oh, it's like a horror comedy. It's like Evil Dead.
Oh yeah,
yep,
no, it's very cool.
Yeah, it is, guys. Well, hey, guys, I thank y'all for having me tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for stopping by. Hey, maybe in 8 years we'll have you on again.
Hey, don't wait 8 years, okay?
Won't do that. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, good night. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Sid. That's been Sid Vicious here on Interactive Wrestling Radio. Always great to have him on. Last time he was so soft-spoken we could barely hear him, so I'm glad to hear he's more upbeat tonight, and that was a great interview.
Yeah, it was. He's a fun guy. Again, he's not a whole lot like his wrestling character.
Maybe when he laughs. Nice guy, though.
Well, I remember when I first started watching wrestling was, especially WWF, was November of 1996 when they were pushing Sid versus John for the world title, and he freaked me out when I was 9 years old.
I will say this, my favorite time of his, despite the fact that I saw him when he killed Brian Pillman with 5 power bombs, and they did it right because Pillman, when you saw him after that, and he was gone for a month, after you saw Pillman again, Pillman was all taped up. So they sold it like he really hurt him, you know?
It really did hurt Pillman.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I'm trying not to say that. But, you know, they did a really good job of that, and, you know, when I saw him again, you know, WWF, you know, it was great to see him. It progressed through the years. But my favorite time period of his is when he did the Millennium Man at the end of 99 WCW, when he just ran over people because he legit seemed freaky, man. And my favorite promo of all time, and we still have to find a clip of this, is when Sid beat up, I think it was Disco Inferno. He was cutting a promo and he said, "And when they proclaim me the Millennium Man, ooh, it'll make me shake all over." And I just thought it was the greatest thing I ever heard.
I have been looking for a clip of that forever, and I have been unable to find it.
It's on a Nitro from probably September of 99. I have all the Nitros.
Oh, so you don't need the Best of Nitro DVD.
I probably won't make it to the Best of Nitro DVD, but I hope it does, because it was just so great. That'd be great for the commercial, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. When this DVD, get Sid to film something for it.
What's that?
Get Sid to film something for it. When this DVD comes out, I'm going to shake all over. It'd be great.
There you go. Oh, boy. So,
which, by the way, I hope that's not a hatchet job DVD. I hope they actually put some effort into it.
Well, here's the thing. They made Best of Nitro broadcasts, and they made a tape, which they didn't call the Best of Nitro for some reason. They called it WCW Mayhem, which was the Best of Nitro. And both of them basically only had Hogan matches on it. And while I think that stuff certainly has a place and should be featured, they overlooked so much good stuff that I hope that this DVD, I hope it's not a complete, you know, this is when they started to suck and this kind of stuff, or, you know, even though they had more fans, the fans much preferred our product, kind of bullshit that doesn't make any sense. I hope they don't do that.
Well, the good news the Nitro set is that from what I hear, it's going to be hosted by Diamond Dallas Page.
Bang!
So at the very least, at least you have a WCW guy as a host, and you're not just throwing Matt Stryker and random diva. I would assume.
Matt Stryker and Maria hosting the Randy Savage DVD. That was lame beyond belief. I mean, I don't mean to knock Matt Stryker and Maria, but
nothing against
lame.
But it's kind of like, you know, if you're going to release a DVD on somebody, get him in to talk about his own career. Do an interview.
I mean, maybe that's just it. Maybe there was a certain line that someone with a very pronounced signature walk said, okay, we'll do the best of Savage, but I am not going to bring him in for an interview. No, we'll put matches on there, but otherwise we do nothing else for this DVD.
It is what it is, and that's basically what they did. They pretty much didn't do any promotion for it, and it just was kind of like a throwaway.
And it was still one of the best-selling DVDs.
I remember there was like one commercial that I saw, and it was, "The wait is over." Ooh, yeah! And then, showing footage from the clips. That was pretty much it. It wasn't like a lot of the other DVDs where there's like a super push for them.
Yeah.
Like, say,
They'll give the guy TV time just to push the DVD. Yeah, like Ric Flair got big pushes every time a new DVD came out.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
They didn't like show, or like the John Cena experience, because God knows if we needed one thing on DVD, it was John Cena playing golf.
Your collection would be incomplete without it.
Yes.
I'd rather watch Bobby Heenan play golf, but okay. Is that on the Bobby Heenan DVD? I never picked that up.
Oh, it's a great DVD. And I almost used a line from it the other day. Guy was talking to me behind the counter. He asked how long I've been married. And I said, it's been 3.5 years, right? And he said, oh, yeah? I've been married 30 years. And I had to bite my tongue because I was so ready to say, do you realize that if you had killed her on your wedding night, you'd be out by now?
That is good. Bobby Heenan.
Yeah. I'll say this.
He was one of the guys that could elevate. It's a Rock-like quality. I'm not trying to put Bobby Heenan on the level of The Rock, but I'm saying, like, the show could be complete shit, but he could elevate it. Just his performance alone could elevate the show and make it worth watching.
Well, yeah, I mean, with all due respect to the people that were involved, that segment of the Bobby Heenan show was kind of just a stupid throwaway half hour or whatever at the tail end of whatever show it was. I'm blanking here. But because it was Bobby Heenan, people still remember it and like to talk about it because they love Bobby Heenan.
It was funny. He didn't even talk about wrestling half the time. He interviewed fat people. My favorite one was when
porn stars.
Yeah, he had Heather Hunter, who at the time, this was before porn was cool. So there was like 5 porn chicks, and she was the black one, and that was basically it. And she was on, and I thought that was, funny as hell that she was on there. I mean, obviously at the time I didn't know who she was, but I don't.
And that was the birth of the Jameson character, wasn't it? That was a character I never understood.
I thought that was Mike Tenay for the longest time.
I mean, you want to look up a character that I just never got, Jameson.
Hey, let's get a retarded guy and make fun of him. Okay. Let's make fun of him.
Let's put a pumpkin on his head and have Hacksaw Jim Duggan whack him with a 2x4.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest here. Half the wrestling fans are not normal people. So why would you want to...
Half? James, show me a normal wrestling fan, and I'll find a unicorn for you.
Yeah, we're an irregular folk, James.
Oh yeah, we're not normal. We're not your regular breed of folk. No.
Face it, as Chris Jericho pointed out, Patrick sounds like a midget.
I'm a nerd, and I'll own it.
Last week he tried to put over a match with Animal, and Animal said, "Man, you're being nice. That match was shit."
That was hilarious. I need to go back and watch that match again because I remember really liking it.
It was fine. I mean, I guess Hawk sold most of the time, but it was probably because he couldn't stand up.
That's just the thing. As fans, we don't understand what's going on inside the ring.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, you can just never know.
By the way, I gotta point this out. I'll bite my tongue on it. So, what do you guys think of of Sunny going into the Hall of Fame this week?
Well, I'll start, and I'm probably going to get yelled at for this, but she was a very popular character, but I don't think that she's quote-unquote a Hall of Famer. I mean, I can't really, when I think of Sunny, I think of the model. I mean, she was primarily just kind of the hot woman they would send out there, in the latest merchandise and tell you to go buy it. I can't really,
okay, go ahead and finish. Sorry.
Moment. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. I'm not denying that she was huge, like a gorgeous woman, but to me, it's kind of the equivalent of Hearn in the NBA Hall of Fame just because he happened to be around Michael Jordan.
Oh. Here's my take, and I'm going to go here, guys, in a sec. I don't mind her going in. I don't know if it should be now, but I don't mind her going in because I think she certainly left a mark. And for what Elizabeth and Missy Hyatt brought to, women in the business, playing the kind of character that Sunny did, Sunny took it to a new level and kind of was the first true diva as we define it now. So for that, I
she was
think
smart, sexy, and powerful.
No, if I was going to put people in, my list would probably start with Elizabeth. I'd probably have Missy Hyatt going on there before her. I would probably have Medusa going in there before her. Sherry's already in, so that doesn't matter. But I probably would have at least a handful of other women go in before Tammy. But I'm glad that she is going in because she earned her spot. I do think she earned her spot, and I'm curious how they're going to handle her ECW stuff when, frankly, she was out of her gourd. They played off of that with her soma addiction and stuff. I'm kind of curious if they're even going to glance over that or mention it, or if they're going to pretend it never happened.
Well, to be fair, James, they're putting her in as Sunny. They're not putting her in as Tammy Sitch/Sunny. I mean, even the video package was all about, Sunny, Sunny, Sunny. There was no mention of, her Smoky Mountain days. There was no mention of, her ECW days. A lot of times with those Hall of Fame ceremonies, they'll make mention of, so-and-so got his start in the classic AWA before making his WWF debut and ultimately ended his career in WCW. They at least kind of glance over that stuff. So I think what we're really going to get is we're just going to get Sunny. We're going to get the video will be about the time she was with the WWE. It won't be about any other period in her career.
Right, and my take on her going in, quite honestly, I don't put a whole lot of stock into the WWE's Hall of Fame because there's no real. What the hell was that? Did anybody else hear that?
I heard you go silent for a second.
Okay, never mind. All right. Anyway, there's not a whole lot of validity in the system or the way they pick Hall of Famers. It's just, let's see, who does Vince like and who does Vince think he can make money off of? And that's basically what you have in the Hall of Fame, and that's why, and I don't mean to disrespect him because we've had Coco on the show before and he's great, but Coco Beware, I mean, would you really put him in the Hall of Fame? I mean, really?
Would I put him in the Hall of Fame? Yes. Would I put him in when he went in? No. It's kind of like that. And that's the same way I feel about Sunny. I don't think, and Nick made a great point, and I'll point this out on Facebook. He made a great point. He said, can you honestly name one great angle she was a part of? No, but I can name a lot of great segments, but not great angles. She was never really a part of a great story.
Well, I can name a lot of great angles that she did. I got pictures of them, too.
But I figure...
She looked great in those angles.
I got to say this, too. I'm not saying that Sunny is divisible by Shawn Michaels, but I am going to say that he's gone into her several times. And that's why I think Rebecca Gigantor Nitro Girl will be joining them on the trip to the Hall of Fame ceremony this year, because for those who don't know, Tammy has come out and admitted that she did date Shawn Michaels during the height of Shawn Michaels' push.
Uh-huh.
which
why did you call Shawn Michaels' wife Gigantor?
Because she's taller than he is, and I remember there was an episode of Nitro in '99, the one where Scott Steiner threw Kimberly Page out of the back of the car. And I thought that was great. He threw her out of the passenger seat, right? And Bobby Heenan. Here's another Bobby Heenan quote. Well, that's because she's not used to sitting in the front seat. Oh man, he was brutal when he said stuff like that. But anyway, what were we talking about? Standing in front of the camera, saying, "I hope she's okay." And Spice was standing on the platform that the Nitro desk was on. And the girl that Shawn Michaels married, I think her name was Whisper, was standing off of it. And she was still taller than Spice. And that thing was like 2-3 feet, that platform. So that's why I called her Gigantor since then. Because she had to be at least 6 foot. At least.
Well, you want to see a funny size difference. Whenever they have Rey Mysterio's wife show up, like when they do a bit with his family or something, she looks like friggin' Godzilla compared to him. Of course, I probably look like Godzilla compared to him, but it's funny to see that kind of size difference. What do you guys think? Is this Mystico, by the way, that they were advertising?
Yeah.
Sin Cara?
Yeah.
Talk about. Oh, James, you just show how much you listen to your own show. Patrick and I actually talked about this last week.
What did you think of the promotion for him? I mean, he looks pretty good, and I have on the store right now, you can buy some best of tapes that I do have of him. And he's really impressive in the ring, but do you think that would detract from Mysterio? Because they're very similar.
Well, I say put them together.
Well, I'll say this, James. It's something that I go with a lot. How much longer is Rey Mysterio going to be there? Realistically.
Oh, boy.
You have to start building towards the future, and I think it will take away from Rey Mysterio, but here's the thing. Now kind of time to start taking away from Rey, where maybe you can almost do a moment where he passes the torch to Sin Cara, because, Rey seems like when the wind blows, he gets hurt. And, so, I mean, I'd say this, Rey, I mean, with all due respect to everything you've done, but you're like every other guy. Eventually you get old, and you're going to have to retire.
But it's not new for him, though. Even in WCW, at the height of his, really growing, he was 6 months on, 6 months off with injury.
Right. Well, that's the other point. So I don't think Mystico has had any real significant layoff time in terms of injuries going through his career in Mexico. So I mean,
it'd be interesting to see how he does, because obviously the Mexican wrestlers more work his style and are certainly smaller than the U.S. wrestlers. So it'd be interesting to see if that keeps up. If he can take the beating that the bigger guys can give him, then great. I think it's a good addition, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. Because he looks impressive.
I've seen very, very little of him, but I've been very impressed with what I've seen. It almost makes me wish that WWE didn't let Low Ki go, and wish they do more with Evan Bourne, because that right there, you got Mysterio, Bourne, Low Ki, and Mystico. I mean, that's a pretty solid core of cruiserweights to build a cruiserweight division around. Of course, that would be crazy. No one would want to see that.
Cool. Well, I got to let you guys do the rest of the show here, guys. I'm going to jump off now, but if you guys want to finish up and talk about some stuff, there's been some interesting things going on. I do want to mention this before I go. This is the last thing I want to mention, and this goes according to what we talked about last week, and I'm sorry that I kind of sound like Chris Berman right now with my voice cracking, but here's what's going on, and here's my take on this. Sting winning the world title.
Oh, God.
I don't have a problem with it per se. And, we could talk about it all the time about how much we disagree with the move. And I think we've all kind of said our piece on it. And I think we all pretty much are in agreement. My concern is the Triple H finish that we got last week, though. After he did the Scorpion Death Drop off the middle rope, did it really need that extra Scorpion Death Drop? I mean, I thought he damn near killed him with the first one. Well, not the first one.
I see that a lot in wrestling now. I don't know if that's a Triple H influence, because I remember talking about it a few years ago when Cena and Batista had their match, where Cena kicked out of that missile drop kick counter into the Batista bomb, which I thought was awesome. I was like,
that should have been the finish,
right. Right, and then Batista just finished him off the Batista bomb, and that was it. I was like, yeah, that's kind of lame, but Yeah, I agree. I see that a lot in wrestling. I don't know why they do that. I don't know.
I would have just had him drag him to the middle and pin him. Hey, he damn near looked that move. I mean, Taz called it too. Taz screamed, "Holy crap, I think he snapped his neck." You know, it looked that good. It really did look good. And just for the Chris Berman fans out there, he could go all the way. There you go. I had to do it.
Okay.
My voice is cracking, and I do feel like Chris Berman right now, who, by the way, him and Al Michaels are not allowed to retire.
Well, I don't know what I'd do without Al Michaels. He's awesome.
Well, get used to it, because there won't be an NFL season next year.
Yeah, there will. There will be. They'll work it out better.
I don't know what I'm going to do without football. Like, I hate going through, like, the spring and the summer without it. It's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. There's none in the fall and the winter.
I mean, they're still the teams are still signing guys to contract extensions as if there's going to be a season. You know, I think that, you know, but then again, I'm still hopeful for another season of 2.5 Men. So there you go.
Oh, there's going to be. I don't think it's going to last, to be perfectly honest. It's not going to work without Charlie Sheen.
There's talk it's going to be, what's his name? The guy from Full House.
John Stamos?
Oh, Jesse?
John Stamos. There's talk it's going to be him. If there's one guy that could probably do it and do a passable job, it's probably him, because I think that he's so similar in his delivery that it will be similar. But but I do think that the show will definitely suffer without Charlie Sheen.
Oh, especially now with all the hype he's got surrounding them. Now the show without him just isn't going to work. Like, if they brought him back, which I understand why they couldn't, because he's so, you know,
fucked
he's a madman, but...
He's winning.
Yeah. Winning? Hello, losers.
I was on the radio.
The uninvolved mind can't process that.
93.3 KDKB in Arizona. I was on the radio the other day, because there was a story on Steven Adler, the original drummer for Guns N' Roses, and he's re-entered rehab, and they reported he was dead. So I called up to say, hey, you know, he's not dead. He's just re-entering rehab. And I said, yeah. And they said, well, how is he not dead? He's been doing drugs and drinking for 25 years and was too fucked up for Guns N' Roses. They didn't say that, but that's, you know, paraphrasing. And I said, well, he's like Charlie Sheen. He's made of a different consistency. He's winning. And they laughed their ass off, and that was the end of my conversation. But I thought it was cool that I was on the radio there on that station. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
James, if winning, you sound like Berman, you sound like Charlie Sheen.
Why is that?
Sounds like his voice has been ripped out, too.
Hey, well, I'll take that as a compliment. That's one of the few shows I do look forward to every week. So hopefully they do bring it back, and hopefully Charlie will sort his crap out, and all will be good in 2.5 Man land.
All right, we shall see.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. I'll let you guys finish up, okay?
All right,
bye-bye, James.
Bye-bye, guys.
All right, so Patrick, one thing I wanted to talk about this week was how little I am buying Alberto Del Rio as a main eventer right now. And I mean, it's not all his fault, because the writers are the ones that said, okay, guy that debuted late last year, you're going to WrestleMania. But
you know, I've talked about it a couple of times. When he won the Rumble, I said, okay, on paper, he has got to be the weakest Rumble winner of all time, especially since the Rumble rule went into effect in '93. He's got to be the weakest. Maybe, you know, some people have argued Hacksaw and Stud. First of all, they were bigger guys, and second of all, that was before a Rumble win gave you a main event spot at WrestleMania, so those almost don't count. So they said Vince McMahon, but it's like, well, yeah, Vince McMahon had the hottest character, you know, heel character in the company, though, so, okay, at least I can understand the thought process, but Del Rio just had nothing, and I was like, all right, but I'm not going to criticize. Let's see how they build him up for WrestleMania. He's done almost nothing.
He's come out, and his feud is essentially with Christian. And on one hand, I'm excited to see Christian back, but on the other hand, I call this the bitch hand, he's not going to challenge Christian for the world title. If you wanted to do with Christian, bring Christian back and have that be his match at WrestleMania. Don't give him a Royal Rumble victory.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. I think he's going to win the title. I think they're going to do something where Christian screws Edge. I keep saying that because maybe it's just wishful thinking that I just want to see Edge and Christian paired together storyline-wise somehow, some way. But I do think he's going to win the title, and I think you're going to see yet another weak first-time championship winner. And they've been creating a lot of those lately. And I'll be honest, I'm not even that big a fan of the character. Like, again, it's not the talent. It's because in the ring he's solid. He seems pretty good. But the character just doesn't do it for me. It's JBL ripoff.
Right.
It's Tito Santana playing JBL.
Right. I mean, it goes to something we talk about all the time, how the WWE has such an ass-backwards way of giving us stuff that we want. We say we want the wrestlers to be in the main event, and then they hotshot a guy who really needs work to the main event level. I mean, Sheamus for the most part has turned out pretty good. But Jack Swagger clearly wasn't ready, and I highly doubt he'll ever get up there again because I think now the company just views him as, yeah, he failed. And I think the same thing's going to happen to Del Rio. They're going to give him this shot. They're going to give him this run. It's not going to work. And then, you're going to have certain people come up and say, oh, we gave this young kid a shot. Clearly he's never going to be it. I mean, he could not carry the world title when we gave him the ball.
Right, and the problem falls on creative. And you look at the build-up for WrestleMania, and I've had this discussion with people. Isn't it funny that the biggest hypes, what's generating the most interest for this WrestleMania are The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's going to be at the show. They're bringing Trish Stratus back. The big main event, they're saying that this match is going to be the main event, but we'll see. Triple H versus The Undertaker, that's their biggest match right now. They're treating that like that's their big marquee match. It's all guys from the Attitude Era. And that's pretty much all they have. They had to completely resort to the past generation to make this WrestleMania mean something. And it reflects badly on the stars of today, but it's not their fault. I mean, you can't blame them for the shitty writing that they've had to put up with.
Exactly. I mean, there are two things that are killing any chance of the younger generation in wrestling. And I don't just mean WWE. I'm going to have to want TNA in this, even though I do think they're a little better at it. But in wrestling is you have bad writers that aren't able to come up with decent storylines or aren't patient enough to kill the guy over the course of a couple of years. I mean, if anything, the guys that should be getting their run at WrestleMania this year are guys like John Morrison and Dolph Ziggler who have been around a while. And the other thing that's killing him is I think you do have the older generation that, A, isn't stepping aside, or when they do step aside, they're patting the guy on the back, put the knife in their back as soon as they get a chance. Or they'll go and make their own storyline, because let's face it, I know Triple H and Undertaker's going to be the main event because it's Triple H and Undertaker. They're two of Vince's chosen children. Vince is going to let them do whatever the hell they want.
But it's like, yeah, I mean, they really have not created any real successful stars since the Attitude Era, and it shows based on what they're doing. The biggest thing they've created is Cena, and we've gone on over and over and over again about how Cena isn't really as good as Vince wants us to think he is.
Right, well, I'll say this. If John Cena were going to be the guy, and despite what people will tell you, he's not the guy, and he's not the guy that's going to truly break into the upper stratosphere and be someone that is a household name like Stone Cold was, like Hulk Hogan was, like The Rock was, and continues to be. John Cena's not going to be that guy. And I will use this as a perfect example. I was watching a NASCAR race with one of my cousins. They showed John Cena on screen because he is friends with Carl Edwards. My cousin turns to me and says, so is that guy like Carl Edwards' brother? It very blatantly at the bottom said John Cena, WWE champion. Because, and my cousin is not a wrestling fan, but he certainly knows how cool Steve Austin was. He knows who The Rock is. Cena does not have that recognizability with the outside fan base. I don't want to hear people say, Yes, but he's so over with children. Do you hear the screams? Kids are easy to fool. Trust me, they believe a man can fly around the world in one night and deliver presents.
We're not supposed to let that cat out of the bag, Nick.
Oh, shit.
Nick?
Yeah. I'm just,
Oh, shit.
I hope James's kids aren't listening to this.
They're not. They're probably not.
I have this vision of, like, James's son, Nicky, like, walking by, going up to his mother and saying, so I was listening to Dad's show. Is Santa Claus not real?
Wow.
Oh, boy. Yeah, but, you know, and I don't want to hear, oh, Cena's over with the kids. I always maintained if you put somebody else in that same position, they would get as over with the little kids as the Fruity Pebbles bitch, as The Rock calls him.
Yeah, you yabba dabba bitch. Yeah, that's it's great.
By the way, I actually saw a poll online today asking who's winning the promo battle, John Cena or The Rock. That's like asking who's the better football player, Joe Montana or Jamarcus Russell.
I don't know if it's that bad, but it's Rock all the way. You can tell that he's the better performer. He delivers his stuff better. I mean, fair, I think Cena's probably had like his two best promos ever, or at least in the last few years, going up against The Rock. But Rock brings out the best in everybody, so there you go. But yeah, one thing about Cena's character, and somebody brought up this point. I was watching a guy's YouTube videos, P.S. Power, in case you're wondering, and he made a great point. Cena never addresses the criticism thrown at him. Whenever somebody makes fun of him for being a doofus or wearing color-coded crap or, makes fun of the you can't see me stuff, he never addresses the criticism of why he does those things. It's just, hey, I am what I am, and that's it, and I'm just going to make fun of your movies, Rock, and that's basically what he did. All he did was just sit there and make fun of Rock's movies.
Which, by the way, when the man had starred in The Marine and Legendary, a film that did so poorly on the box office they couldn't even chart it, he has no room to talk about anybody's movies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Yeah, so, by the way, Patrick, tonight started the taping for NXT Season 5, and if you ever wanted a representation of how much they just don't care about this show, let me read you the list of pros.
All right.
Yoshi Tatsu.
Wow.
Vladimir Kozlov.
Wow.
Guerrero. JTG. Chavo Guerrero, and then JTG.
Wow.
And Tyson Kidd, who we actually like, but is very misused. And finally, your long-lost twin brother, Hornswoggle.
That's, you're fucking kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, Now my question is, why the hell is this show still going? They're going to get Tough Enough back on USA, which is basically the exact same thing, same basic concept of introducing new wrestlers into the company. Why are they still doing that? Nobody gives a crap about NXT anymore. Show was fucking canceled. Just let it go. It's over.
I agree with you. I mean, I think what literally is going on here is that Vince said we're just going to do NXT on WWE.com, and I think he meant just to wrap up season 3. But since no one ever told them to stop doing it, they just keep going on with it.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a season 4, to be honest with you. Like, I just found out a couple days ago that it's, season 4 finale. Like, wait, whoa, there was a season 4? It would be like if TNA was doing reaction online. It would just be, what's the fucking point? The show was canceled. Come on.
Here's the thing, at least somewhat with that it would make sense. You could break it up into the different YouTube videos, and people could, if people could even skip over, like, the ones they don't want to hear about, like Team 3D reaction. But with this whole thing, it's like, wow, how many people are really going to WWE.com and watching NXT start to finish?
I can't imagine that many people. I mean, they're introducing a bunch of bland wrestlers that we don't care about, and that's it.
Actually, apparently Season 5 is comprised of wrestlers that didn't win NXT the first time around. So apparently the thought process to this is, okay, these guys were not that over, and we knew they didn't deserve to be, to win it the last time. Let's bring them back.
Wow. Okay. So wait a minute, aren't they all just members of Nexus and Core then?
Well, no, it's Darren Young, who's Black Cena. I guess despite the fact he's been wrestling on the Raw brand for the last on Superstars, they decided to send him back to NXT. Then it's Brian Saxton, who used to be an ECW announcer. Connor O'Brien, who I don't recognize. Jacob Novak, who I think was just on the last one. Lucky Cannon, who I think was Season 2. And Titus O'Neil, who I think is one of the champions.
Now, did I hear right that this season was going to have, like, the winner and the pro gets a tag title shot?
Yeah, that was last season, and it was R-Truth, and I think Johnny Curtis is his name.
So they're going to get a tag title shot?
Yeah, but you know what? Does it really matter, Patrick? It's not like we're talking about belts that are booked well. It's not like
that's true. I mean, I don't even really, I can honestly say, I don't really care what happens to the tag belts anymore, because they're not going to put any effort into it. They're really not. And to expect them to change is just silly.
I mean, someday, maybe, but it's if they didn't change when they had an opportunity with Eminem. So when Eminem came on, I think a lot of people were looking at him like, wow, this team has got all of the potential in the world. They're good work. This Joey Mercury guy is an experienced wrestler, and this John Morrison guy has got a great look, and if he just gets a little bit of time, he could really turn into something. And man, that Melina is hot. She could play the perfect kind of bitch valet. A lot of people had high hopes at Eminem, went nowhere ultimately. I mean, they won the belts a number of times, but it goes back to name a hot feud, name a hot angle they were a part of. Never really happened. Kate and Murdoch, I love Kate and Murdoch. You know what? They were just kind of there and they won the belt. And that seems to be
our favorite thing to reference is when they said the band is back together. It's like, I never even knew you split up. When was that? I didn't know you were still with the company.
Yeah, I remember that. It was so weird because they split up with no angle, just real suddenly. They split up and they gave Murdoch this little token push where he wrestled Ric Flair a couple times for the Intercontinental Championship, and then I guess he started doing a deliverance character online where there was this weird thing they were doing for a while where during the Raw commercial breaks on WWE.com they would stream footage or promos. And I guess he was doing that. And Cade went and did Heat. And I guess people were describing it as Jeff Jarrett 1995 character. And then out of nowhere they reunited.
That's hilarious. Oh God.
Yeah,
so to expect them to change the tag division is just silly.
I mean, what would have to happen is you would have to have people want to change the tag division, and B, you'd have to have talent there that would want to make the tag division a big deal again. And we talked about with Animal and Hawk, not Hawk, but we talked about with Animal last week. He was proud to be a Road Warrior. That's what he wanted. He and Hawk made every division they were in mean something because that's what they wanted to do. That was their gimmick. I think, unfortunately, what you get a lot with people is they look at, I'm in a tag team, but in a couple of years eventually I can break out and go on my own and be a single star. I almost kind of call that following the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart path, where people think that's how it works. You start on a tag team, then you become a singles guy, and then you become a main event, even though it really doesn't always work like that.
Right. But even in the tag team, when they started out in the tag team, they were in the tag team for a few years. It wasn't like, oh, Team Angle, the world's greatest tag team. Oh, they've been together, what, a year, 18 months? Oh, let's split them up. Wait, what? Yeah, we want to push Shelton. Yeah, because he's ready. Or Hart Dynasty, let's split them up and push them as singles guys, because they're ready for that.
Talk about dropping something out of nowhere. Like, they broke up. I think they had a match where they introduced that big guy to be Tyson Kidd's bodyguard, and then that big guy got sent back to SCW.
That's hilarious. But, yeah, I guess we could use this to transition over to TNA for a second. The angle that they're doing right now with Team 3D, what really sucks about it is that I watch it, and the segments themselves and the stuff that they've done are not that bad. Even the matches themselves, I've seen both matches. Those matches weren't terrible. The sad thing is, though, could you imagine if they put that much effort into a feud between two young guys?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's kind of like what we talk about with Jerry Lawler. It's like, look, nobody cares about Team 3D anymore, all right? Like, let's focus on some new guys. Same thing with, Jerry Lawler. Nobody really cares if he gets a title shot, so why are we doing it?
Well, I'm going to disagree with that, because I got called a fucking idiot by dumb Ohio people. Guy on Facebook.
Well, you know what? So WWE has some fans that'll watch them no matter what they do, and you know what? I'm willing to bet that if TNA had done that same angle with Taz, they'd have said it was fucking stupid. So
I don't even think it was WWE fans. I think just some guy that is such an old school wrestling fan. Like, he's like, you just don't understand, and you think you know stuff because you work for an internet website. I've watched more wrestling than you, and Jerry Lawler's one of the all-time greats. And I'm like, dude, I'm never denying that Lawler's one of the all-time greats, but he's 61 years old. His matches suck. He can't walk. For the love of God, let's try to put emphasis on the younger guys.
Now, my question is, again, we talk about building up stars and how they haven't really been able to create any real stars since the Attitude Era. I don't remember Steve Austin and The Rock having to work competitive matches with Pat Patterson. I don't recall that ever happening. Whenever they were put in the ring with the Stooges, and it was usually a 2-on-1 handicap match against Briscoe and Patterson, Briscoe and Patterson would get their asses kicked. Right. Guy in their prime.
Right. The only guy I remember, Pat Patterson ever beating was Crash Holly, and it was Briscoe. He beat Crash Holly, and Crash Holly was asleep. It was during the 24/7 hardcore title.
Yeah, and they beat the Mean Street Posse, but the Mean Street Posse, that was kind of their deal. They were a bunch of guys who lost all the time. Everybody beat them, so, what's the difference? They are the single, I will say this, for a gimmick that was just a group of jobbers, they have, the biggest fan base I have ever seen. Can I be honest? As far as talents go, they weren't that great, but the gimmick was awesome. I thought the gimmick was great. I loved the music. I loved everything about it. I swear, people still want to see the Mean Street Posse. They missed the Mean Street Posse. They were hilarious. I thought they were awesome. And when they did all the vignettes with Shane, when Shane won the European title, and they were talking about how, there are a lot of tough guys in credits, just that Shane's the toughest. It was hilarious. I thought it was the greatest thing. Yeah. I'm actually not bashing that, because I also enjoyed the antics of the Mean Street Posse. And I'll say this. One of the biggest differences between the Attitude Era today, the Attitude Era and today, is there would be storylines, actual angles, and that would be thought out, planned out, executed, and done on the show that had nothing to do with the main event. There would actually be a good little 5-minute segment there where you would see something with the Mean Street Posse chasing Crash Holly all over the building trying to win the hardcore title. There were actual feuds for the Intercontinental Championship.
Unlike, say, the U.S. Championship, where last week the champion gets laid out, this week he beats by count out, and next week Sheamus will get a title shot if he puts his career.
That's another match for WrestleMania. Could be a good match. I think Sheamus and Bryan could mix very well together, but they haven't put any real good effort into building it up to make it a worthwhile match. And I can say that about a lot of matches leading into WrestleMania.
Right. This WrestleMania may be the most afterthought WrestleMania ever. Because...
Oh, I've said it before. It's just, let's get The Rock, Austin, and Trish, and Triple H, and Undertaker. Let's get all of them back for this WrestleMania, and that'll be enough.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. The Miz talked about it. They're kind of using it as the Miz's gimmick going into WrestleMania, but it's true. He's the forgotten man in his home world title match.
Yeah.
It seems like they're doing this where he lays out Cena at the end of every show, and they think, well, that will be enough. And on the one hand, while it's nice to see John Cena actually sell a finishing move, on the other hand, that's not enough. You need to do more. You can't just make his gimmick being the forgotten man and actually have him be the forgotten man, because if you look at it, all the previews, all the hype is about Rock Cena, nothing about The Miz. If you were a casual fan watching, who didn't watch it week to week, you might assume that John Cena, that Miz had lost the championship along the line.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought what they did with Miz, having him be the one that was like, doing that with him where he's like pissed off that Rock and Cena are getting all the attention and using that as a way to kind of interject him into the mix the way they did at the end of the show there. I thought that was all right. But, again, it's still kind of, I don't know, with Miz it's almost too little too late. Because, they booked him so horribly as champion that
Well, I mean, I'm sure crazy Ohio people will tell me, you don't understand, Miz is learning how to work from Jerry Lawler. That's a bullshit line, and I really want to know what the hell Miz learned from Lawler. How to hide his man boots behind a singlet?
I think he learned how to look bad going up against an old man, which I want to know how many 61-year-old men Lawler had to face in his prime and make look competitive. And if it happened, okay, fine, but I'd like to hear about it.
Well, I want to know how old Jackie Fargo would have been when they were feuding. Because I do know that Fargo was like the king of Memphis when Lawler was first coming up. But you know what? Fargo sold for the king. Fargo let the king beat him. As a matter of fact, the reason Jerry Lawler is called the king is because he beat Jackie Fargo in a match and declared, Jackie Fargo, I am now the king of Memphis.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Fargo was 61. I mean, that would make it, I don't think he was Terry Funking it, but, that's it. Oh boy, yeah. So we've got Miz and Afterthought. We have this match with Edge and Del Rio, which really isn't coming together. I mean, it almost kind of seems like a match you would do at a B pay-per-view just to give Edge something to do as you set up his next opponent.
It kind of does, yeah. It really does. And Del Rio was the Royal Rumble winner. That's the funny thing, is that we're thinking of him as kind of like this afterthought character going into this. I'm like, but he won the Royal Rumble, and they've done nothing to make me believe that he should be in that spot. But again, that falls on creative. And I said it leading into the February pay-per-view. Who was his opponent? Kofi Kingston. And it's like, well, Kofi Kingston's doing nothing. I mean, that's not going to elevate Del Rio at all.
And then we have, we have Edge, not Edge, we have Orton and CM Punk, who are kind of...
That's the best match on the card.
Yeah, who are kind of being left to do their own thing, and it's working, but the problem is it's not really being all that highlighted. I mean, they're getting a lot of time on Raw, but otherwise you're not hearing anything about it, and this is WrestleMania. This should be the time of year where it's like, we've got this, and we've got this, and we've got this, we've got this, and be like, oh man, this is amazing. It's just like, we got The Rock, yay! We got Undertaker and Triple H. Oh,
Oh yeah, I'm totally looking forward to that match. But yeah. Now, what is this feud that Cody and Ray are having? Because it's getting like rave reviews.
You know, I'll say this. Cody's whole gimmick is that he's, dashing Cody Rhodes.
Which I don't like that gimmick, but go ahead.
But Ray did the 619, and apparently he broke Cody's nose legitimately. And the idea is that Cody has completely lost his mind and is convinced he is horribly scarred and, has lost his looks, and now he's, gone completely insane. Like, he's walking around like a face protector, and the lights are all dim, and he's like, "Don't look at me." And I'm actually, it's pretty good. And the good news is, Dusty was apparently a one-time thing for this feud, which makes me very happy.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I like that they're going the psychopath route with him, because I thought it was a very psychotic kind of character. And it's either going to be, really bland and one-dimensional, or it's got to be, he's a self-destructive psychopath, because why would anybody who doesn't want to get hit in the face participate in a combat sport for a living where you get hit in the face? I mean, it's like you have to be mentally deficient to do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that could be a good match. The problem is, it's a problem we see a lot in wrestling where they're going back to a well, and I think it will ultimately be a match for Ray's mask, which we've already seen him have lately with Chris Jericho and CM Punk.
Now, my question is, I know it was back in '99 that it was WCW, and I guess if it happened on WCW, it doesn't count, but I've seen Ray without his mask. Okay? He's already been unmasked. You own the footage of him being unmasked. Can you really sell that as a big deal?
Well, they've done it 3 times already.
Yeah, and I asked that question all 3 times, but again, I guess there are so many young fans that they just don't remember what WCW was doing in '99. They probably have no idea. If I told a bunch of kids that Ray's been unmasked before, they'd probably think I was nuts.
Yeah. You know what would actually be a good idea for this? I don't know if they would do it, but have Cody beat Ray and have him about to rip off Ray's mask, have the lights go out, and then you debut Sin Cara. He comes down and he saves Ray, and then you start a feud between he and Cody.
Interesting.
I'm sure though now that I've said that, WWE will probably debut Sin Cara on an episode of NXT.
Oh, I hope not. They seem to actually want to be putting, they're really advertising this guy like they got a major pickup, which I think is really cool. But I would hope that they would do the same thing with Awesome Kong, where, again, a couple months ago we thought they were going to fix the Divas division. Oh, Natalia's got the belt. She's feuding with the right girl, Melina. Yeah. Yay! No, now we've got Eve versus the Bellas, and that's their top feud.
Patrick, go to the news. Go to the news line. You're going to see why Awesome Kong probably won't get that.
Oh, really? New news item. Let's hit the old computer.
I'm kidding.
Oh, you're just kidding?
Yeah. But, see, the problem, though, I do have, not a problem, but one thing I do worry about is that we know in the WWE when you come in with, a big push, it can kind of be the thing that puts a huge target on your back. Read Chris Jericho's book.
Undisputed, yeah. Oh, God. Let me guess who tried to hold him back. Wouldn't be somebody by the name of Triple H, would it?
Yeah, I mean, he never comes straight out and says it, but he does say, Hunter didn't like me, and I remember there was a segment once where, DX was not, DX, but by DX I mean X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Chyna, and Triple H, and they were out filming in New York, and Hunter on the camera just goes, points the camera at some guy and he says, "That guy's probably a better worker than Jericho." And kind of Jericho went up to him and called him on. I was like, "Why did you say that?" He says, "I thought you'd find it funny, buddy."
Yeah, but if somebody accuses Triple H of not being a good worker, holy shit, I bet he wouldn't like it.
Oh, I mean, I'll say this. Have you had a chance to read the book, Patrick?
No, not at all.
Well, if you do, let's just say this. Let's just say this. Jericho will talk about his feud with China, and you can kind of see Triple H's tentacles squirming into that situation as well.
Okay.
But I'll just kind of reveal it right now. There was a thing where I guess like Jericho and China were feuding for the IC title. People forget this feud a lot of times, but and I guess someone had told Jericho, "Hey, look, China's kind of stiff out there. Don't hold back on her. Don't." They weren't saying like punch her as hard as you can, but you know, if she's getting too hard with you, send her a message. You know, just a good tap. I guess he did that, and almost immediately Triple H was all over Vince saying, "Look what the fuck he's doing. She's a woman, for God's sakes, Vince. He's going stiff with her."
Wow.
But by the way, I think history will ultimately show that who lasted longer than WWE, China or Chris Jericho.
Well, you keep in mind, though, she fell out of favor with Triple H, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, well, what happened was Triple H upgraded.
Yeah, he did upgrade. I will give him that. Better looking, boss's daughter. Yeah, that's a hell of an upgrade.
China was kind of like the first car. You know, when you're a teenager, you get your first car. And for most of us, you know, let's be honest, it's not a great car, but it's your car. So you love it and you take care of it. He upgraded to a Mercedes, ladies and gentlemen. And he'll keep riding that thing to the top every single time.
Yep.
That's because she refurbishes herself every couple of years.
Yeah. But, all right, it is about 10 o'clock, and I've got to go. So, thank you, Nick. Is there anything you want to say before we head on out of here?
You know what? I'll say as I always say, watch TNA. Damn you to hell, Chris Jericho. That's about it.
Okay. All righty. Well, for Nick Noel, I'm Patrick Higley saying,
I am kidding about Jericho. It's kind of a running joke with me that Jericho put over John Cena, and that allowed Cena to stay on the main roster, thus leading to the hell we now live with John Cena as the top guy.
Right, yes, damn you, Chris Jericho, for that indeed. So, thank you, Nick, for being on with me the whole night. Thank you to everybody for listening. And of course,
you just said damn you, Jericho, because he called you a midget.
No, I was just quoting Nick.
Oh, okay.
I have no ill feelings towards Jericho at all whatsoever.
I want to say this before we call it a day. We're about that metal show, which is kind of a show that our show is kind of morphed into that wrestling show in some degree, in that we're just a bunch of guys sitting around talking the way that we would talk, be damned if we be heard, no matter if we were sitting at a bar or something, you know what I mean? And that is what that show is to heavy metal. And Eddie Trunk is the host of that show, and Eddie Trunk's the one who broke the news about Jericho having this major announcement. And I referred to him as the cousin Brucey of heavy metal. And that's what got me the dork comment, or the nerd comment, as Jericho put it. Now, here's the thing. Jericho is doing that metal show, and it was recorded last week. I'm very, very concerned that Jericho's going to say, hey, I was on this shitty little wrestling show, and this nerd...
He was on like tons of them, dude.
I guess ours wouldn't be the worst of the ones he's done.
There's no way ours was the worst.
He's got to have done worse. My thought, though, concern is that he's going to mention the Cousin Brucey comment to Eddie Trunk on the air and mock us in some way. So be watching that metal show season 7 starting in a few weeks as Chris Jericho.
As long as he doesn't say that his co-host is a midget, I'll be okay.
Hey, James, just think about it, though. At the end of the day, hey, we got mentioned on the Eddie Tuck show, or whatever the fuck the guy's name is. So
it's that metal show on VH1 Classic. Eddie Trunk.
Well, maybe we should count that as a victory instead of being, like, worried about it.
I'm a little worried that he's going to mock us on it, because the thing is, Eddie Trunk's a New York guy. He's a New Jersey guy, actually, and, you know, that's where Cousin Brucey was from. And for those who don't know who the hell Cousin Brucey is, he was the dude with the plastic hair that appeared as the DJ in the Dirty Dancing movie. He was the DJ of the 50s and 60s that was very, very popular in the New York area, and he's still going today, but he's on his own XM station instead of on the radio anymore. But still, I just wanted to throw that out there. Be watching, because if we get mocked, that was us.
Good to know.
So this has been an interesting show. We had Sid on. I revealed there's no Santa Claus. James is worried that we're going to get mocked on the Eddie Tuck show.
That metal show.
That metal show hosted by Eddie Trunk.
There you go.